For April the 6th, 2018, we talk about Divinity Original Sin 2, Gorogoa, and Spy Party going early access. Welcome to Level 237. My name is Cole Ross.
I'm Jala.
And I'm Ben Merkel.
And you're listening to The Level. It's a podcast for people who love video games. Ben, we're no longer in the same room.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
You cannot see the knife.
Yeah, that's right. That is what I'm thankful for. I can't see all the hacks that Cole has for doing the podcast very well. So.
but you have seen it. You know just the kind of massive network of pipes that I am just twisting valves on, like Valtiel and Silent Hill 3.
It's the Duckfeed command center.
Yeah.
The duck nest.
You know, you were saying like pipes, and I'm thinking Mario, and then you're saying Valve, and I'm like triggering, Portal and Half-Life, and just all these video games rolling through my head.
Yeah. but you're back. You're safe in the. I'm outnumbered by you Texas people now.
Yahoo!
Oh, Texas majority this episode.
Yay!
That's a rarity.
Now we're gonna do things Texas style. Yeah, I guess that just means the slices of bread are going to be thicker.
This episode's going to be bigger than every other episode for some reason.
Yay!
Usually when we go three style, things end up a little bit shorter.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and that combined with our earlier start time means that I'm not going to immediately shamble from this room to go fall over asleep.
Mm-hmm. Slash pick cross.
Pick cross myself to sleep. Give myself Tetris effect pick cross dreams.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
You have said that word has been said 3 times in the last
So it's not like a total counter, it's just the density of pick cross to minutes.
Yes, there's another one.
I will attempt to be mindful. Cool. Well, any cool stories from the past week?
Just been training running. I think I don't know if I mentioned this on podcast before or not, but I'm coming back to Cincinnati in a month to do a 6-mile run. It's like a marathon relay with 3 other people, including Dennis. So.
Yeah. It's Dennis's father-in-law who
slash
roped
my
you into
uncle.
That? Yes. Yeah. It's Bob who roped you guys into doing it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
and I found this out recently too. This will be the last event. Like, you will have done all of the Flying Pig events now after this one.
Oh shit!
So,
yeah. For people who are unclear about what that is, the Flying Pig is the name of the marathon in Cincinnati.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, I was like, when you guys mentioned the Cincinnati Marathon to me, I was like, it's called the what?
but then you were down here, and we took that trip over to the waterfront. Walking up and down.
And then we saw the flying pig.
It's just they're flying pigs all over the place. Yeah, if you start looking for them, just pigs with wings just festoon this city.
My personal favorite is Hamlet that the Cincinnati Shakespeare Center ordered.
What?
Yeah, there's a Shakespeare pig, flying pig. It's somewhere downtown, but it's called Hamlet.
Nice.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Well, that's cool. Yeah, I really don't have that much of a story to tell everybody. I didn't do anything for Easter or anything like that.
Yeah, so in Austin, apparently everyone celebrates Easter because everything was shut down yesterday.
Oh.
I tried to go to the grocery store, and that did not work out. So.
What?
Well,
Like
yeah. Stuff shuts down. It's for reals.
That's bizarre.
Yeah,
but
it's even open on like 4th of July, so religion is higher than America in Texas's standards. I guess that makes sense.
Well, yes, that makes a lot of sense for Texas, but
it doesn't make sense for Austin. But yeah.
Well, whichever. But on Easter, I took my parents out for breakfast to Panera, which is heathen and was open regular hours. And nobody was there because nobody thought it was open. So that was great. Yeah. And then after that, I was intensive cleaning. I was doing the spring clean, but then I was also trying to adjust my ruck because they don't make rucksacks with hip belts that are my size. They don't make anything my size, but they really don't make, stuff for rucking in my size. So I had to cinch the hip belt up as tight as it would go and then sew it into place to keep it from loosening up, because it wasn't putting the weight on. It wasn't distributing all the weight in my pack to my hips the way it needed to. So
yeah, and that's a problem because of your back, right?
Yeah, it's a problem because I have spinal stenosis, and it's centered up in my cervical spine, mostly on my right shoulder. So when certain stuff is stressing on my right shoulder, in particular, yeah, it's a bad news bears. So
it gets pinchy.
Yeah. So I don't want to go to physical therapy for, months and months and be shut down from doing stuff. So therefore I wanted to make sure that I could put the weight on my hips so it does not stress out my shoulder. And that was a success. I still have to do a couple of fiddly bits yet, but mostly good, which is cool. Because this weekend I'm going to be doing the Brazos Bend 50K. I will be doing about 31 miles rucking. So it needs to be comfortable.
Yeah, 31 miles is a long way. That's
well, because I've run a few marathons, more than one, and I've run that one that they accidentally made me do an ultra. Like, I already did 28, I already did 28. 31 is nothing. I'm like, okay, well, whatever. Yeah, I guess. I mean, it's like a lot of time.
Yeah.
But that's what I think about it.
That's one of the things that seems so like sinister about those endurance events is like there is no ceiling.
Yeah, they're really well. There are people like I met a lady when I did the accidental ultra marathon last December, who she has run. I think I mentioned her. She is one of the, I think it's 6 people in the world who have run over 100 ultra events that were over 100 miles. So she does like 200 milers on a regular basis and things like that.
Yeah.
So, and she has a dachshund that runs with her.
Oh, that's doubly impressive. First off, it's adorable. But even a dachshund, those stubby little legs.
I know, and it's an ultra marathon dog. Do not talk to me about limits.
Yeah. Oh,
so.
Well, that's fun.
Yeah.
I think we have achieved some banter.
Sure.
Yeah. Why don't we do the usual kind of show, the brief, the multiplayer, and the grind, and we can get started with The Brief, where we talk about things that are happening in the world of video games around us. Ben, you and I brought the same story, so we want to double up.
Neither of us wanted to talk about Far Cry 5, so
no. Is there news about that?
It came out, got lukewarm reviews. That's about it.
Yeah. And
somebody said I saw something about a dog in Far Cry 5. Is like being the bestest dog ever, so that's about the only positive news story I've seen about it.
Yeah, I mean, video games are full of good dogs, though. I'll be curious to try Far Cry 5 when it gets down to like $20. I mean, it's kind of it's a wasted opportunity that they don't really say anything about the subject matter that they're doing. But Montana is beautiful, and I like the idea of doing an open world game in that location. So yeah, but no, neither of us wanted to talk about that. But we both noticed that kind of the white whale of the show is popping up. So Spy Party, the asymmetrical multiplayer game that has been floating around on the show pretty much since it was announced 8 years ago, is finally hitting Steam Early Access.
That's what I was trying to think of as what was older, doing the show, like even back to the radio station, or this game. It's a close one.
Yeah, back to the radio station, especially. So we started doing this as a full-time video game show in like 2009. And so, yeah, that would have been around this time. I remember noticing and talking about this because that's around the time that Assassin's Creed Brotherhood came out, whose multiplayer has a similar kind of concept to this, where one person is trying to blend in with AI, right? Yeah,
I'll take your word on that because I haven't played that game yet.
Brotherhood's good.
Yeah, but should we talk about Spy Party?
Yes, we ought to.
Yeah.
What is the premise of Spy Party, Ben?
It's a one-on-one mission where there is a spy who's at a cocktail party for, I guess, maybe other spies or just people. I don't know. And then there's a sniper who has like view of his situation. And it's a one-on-one game. So the sniper is trying to figure out which of the supposed NPCs is an actual person who's walking around. and then assassinate that person. He only has one bullet, though. He or she only has one bullet, and so they have to make sure that the other person's a human before they take the shot. Otherwise, they lose. And so whoever is the spy has to try and act like they're a human or act like they're a computer. So it's like a reverse Turing test, I guess. And so they also have an objective where it might be something like switch 2 elements of the room, or like go and talk to this other NPC,
plant a bug, stuff like that.
Yeah, and so they have to somehow try and achieve this objective while blending in with the computers. So,
yeah, I wasn't aware that this was being sold on the guy's website.
Yes, I just found this out because I started watching his YouTube video. He did an interview on Giant Bomb. I forget what's the name of the developer. Chris Hecker.
Yeah, Chris Hecker.
Yeah. And he's also, I think I don't know if he's friends or not, but at least he follows people like Casey Muratori and Jonathan Blow, and I know he's like giving them advice and stuff on their programming.
Yeah.
Anyway. Yeah, this is available on his website, and at the time of this podcast release, it's available on the website for $15. Once it is on Steam, it'll be $25, I think, for early access. So if you want to try and get a deal, you can go to the website and do that.
Yep.
Do that now.
Will you get a Steam code if you get it off the website?
I'm not sure about that. I don't know if you just download. I think you just download the program directly.
Yeah. I don't know why I'm asking you and not just going to the website and seeing the FAQ.
Yeah. But I only saw the first like maybe 15 minutes or so of the interview that he did with Giant Bomb, but he was saying that like mainly like a lot of the upgrades that they made over the last 6 or 7 years have been like artistic upgrades and kind of like making a few new levels to try and explore like the game design of the game.
Yeah.
So there's a few like simple levels, or there's a balcony where like there's like 6 NPCs and like the sniper can see everything, and so like that's like a very simple level. There's another level. I don't know if I think this one he had an older version of, but they developed the art of where it's like a single store, but it has like a long it's like a long single hallway kind of a store. It's supposed to be like a Soho art gallery. And so there's like certain things that can be obscured by people walking in front of them, where you might need to switch like 2 like statues, but if somebody's in the way, you can't see any of them.
Yeah.
So it looks like there's a nice like diversity of maps to it too.
Yeah. If the premise of this sounds like ho hum, like I think the thing that is really impressive about it is that it does require just like spot on netcode kind of stuff. Like technically there's some cool stuff going on, even with like replays, like you scrub through the entire timeline and like you basically look at everything from any angle, after the fact.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. What was I gonna say? I was interested. Chris Hecker was describing it as a competitive like esport, like, which I was kind of surprised by. But there are people already playing the game since it's already like available on his website, and so he was saying that there's people who've already sunk like thousands of hours into the game. So yeah. Well,
I'm like kind of jazzed about this. Like, it's cool to see this actually like hit a mass market. Like, they're nervous about putting it in front of everybody on Steam because who knows if the servers will be able to handle it, etc. But yeah, fun.
And it is funny. This is only early access still. It is still not the final version of the game. So perhaps we will cover the story again 8 years from now.
Yep. Weirdly enough, this does seem like it would be a pretty good VR game.
Yeah.
Oh, well. Jala, what's going on over at Amazon? This is kind of a follow-up to something we talked about last week, right?
This is a follow-up to that, which was a follow-up to the thing I talked about a while ago. Anyway, real quick, Amazon has canceled the Breakaway video game that was being developed by their game studios. They had gotten a bunch of user feedback at the end of last year in the fall when they had it on like an alpha or something. And because of that, like they were trying to retailer the game, and then they were just like, you know what? Nope. and that's where that was. And they said, oh, well, we might, if we have a sudden inspiration, we might come back to it. But that's like, an empty-handed promise. It's already pretty clear, especially from last week's article when we were talking about the, esport thing and how they're pushing their new API stuff. Like, that's really where they're going to be going with the gaming, I think. They're not going to be publishing anything the way that they first were thinking about. So
yeah, they had a pretty big talent acquisition for that too. Like, they hired some people whose names one would recognize if they watched this space. So
Yeah,
I wonder.
yeah.
I wonder what's happening to those people, because that seems like a terrible situation to be in after 3 years.
Yeah. Well, that I know of, they just said that they weren't going to be publishing that game. I don't know if they are actually closing the studio. That's not made apparent at this point, but
Yeah.
I think it's inevitable. It's any time now that they're going to do that. I mean, I already said that last week before this happened. So,
Do we know what kind of game Breakaway was?
yeah, it was in the article.
They described it as a brawler.
It was a
Competitive
brawler, like a
battle game.
fantasy brawler type thing.
That seems like a tough putt without an
Yeah.
established world.
Yeah.
Huh.
Yeah.
Well, it sucks for those folks. That's no good.
It kind of sucks
Yeah.
that it's kind of like industry standard that's like, yep, studio got canceled. Guess we'll go somewhere else. Like, and that's that's probably not a shocker, you know.
Yeah, I guess we'll
Yeah.
sell the Aeron chairs and split the proceeds.
Pretty much. So that was a thing. That was it. That was literally all the article was about. But because it was, following up exactly on the thing that I was talking about last week, I was like, I got to mention this.
Oh,
'Cause,
for sure.
Yeah.
So. I think this might be the first time ever that
Was this brief?
Yeah, that this segment has lived into the other version of into the other meaning of its name.
Sure.
Yeah.
Dude, let's do it. Let's move on.
Do we just want to fuck around for a couple minutes?
Well, I guess we can do that too.
No,
I was all like, let's get this show on the road. Like, literally, let's move.
No, we don't have to do that.
Multiplayer.
Now it is time for the multiplayer, where we ask you a question and then you answer it. Jala, what's the question that you ask the nice people?
So, I asked everybody what in-game inanimate object best describes your most recently played game. And I asked this because, and I made it up. I asked this because everybody seemed to like the short and sweet thing that we did last week that I made up. So I was trying to do something kind of in the same vein, but this one's not quite as restricted.
Yes,
so.
It is not just laid out. I really wish, like, looking back on that, I wish that we would have enforced, like, you can put more than 4 words in, but we'll only read the first 4.
Well, you know what? That is okay. And the great thing is that because people get the gist of what I'm going for with these questions, most of these answers are real short.
Yeah.
So we will probably get through everybody.
Yeah.
Yay.
Especially if I start now with Jack, who says, grass. I have been fighting a lot of baddies out on the fields of Hyrule, and boy, is it fun to mow the world's collective lawn. Is grass inanimate?
It is inanimate. Like, it only blows in the wind. I have never seen grass walk around.
It blows in the wind, but there is such a thing as heliotropism. Like, grass will grow toward the sun.
Yes, this is true. But you know what? That is okay. It is mostly inanimate. For our purposes.
I am not going to split that hair. And
this video, the grass does not grow towards the sun in the video game. It is inanimate in this sense.
It's a pretty thorough simulation.
Well, which game? Which game? He didn't say which game he was playing. He didn't say he was playing Breath of the Wild.
Okay.
Damn it.
Ben, what does Greg say?
Greg says, money, and lots of it, because you need it to go around the world in 80 days and make it in time. But to do it in 40 days requires over 10,000 pounds, shrewd trading, and some luck that the right markets have the right items.
Yeah. Otherwise, you have to go out of your way.
I don't think I ever beat that game in under like 75 days, so that's mind-boggling to do that in 40.
The way that it goes, and the way that it has gone for most people that I've talked to who have also played it, is your first one takes about 100 days. You go over by quite a bit, and then your second one takes like 50.
What?
Yeah. I don't know. I don't think I have my save, so I can't check and see what my lowest score was.
Yeah, I have played through that game several times, and I have zero recollection of what my days were, like how many days it took me or anything. Like, I have no idea.
Yeah.
I don't know. I should go back to that. It's on my phone still. I can go check it.
It's such a good game.
Such good writing. Yeah.
Jala, what does Ethan say?
Ethan says, the airplane at the beginning of BioShock. I was finishing up a long stretch of Minerva's Den when it crashed suddenly. So long, 2 hours.
Wait, what crash? Because the plane crashes too. Did the game crash?
Possibly. Because if he was in Minerva's Den when it crashed.
Yeah, and 2 hours is about how long Minerva's Den is.
Yeah,
okay, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Minerva's Den is very good. Anyway, has Ethan written in before? I don't recognize that name.
There's several people who I do not recognize as writing in often or at all. So
Nice.
we got lots of those.
Nick writes, fucking shit, piss, blood, and tears.
Everywhere.
Everywhere. Yes, fucking shit, piss, blood, and tears everywhere. Then in parentheses, as though I couldn't divine what it was, they've been playing The Binding of Isaac Afterbirth Plus.
Yep.
Ben, what does Robert say?
Robert says the Fingertron 3000. Wanky wanky.
Wanky. And I think Robert listens to yeah, dude. Fingertron, is that the... I know there's a joke about that in Fallout New Vegas, but I think that it's like Fisto 2000 or something like that. And I am not going to Google Fingertron 3000.
No.
I'll fall on that blade for you. It's in Thimbleweed Park. Is that
shit, yeah. Okay.
Is that a game?
Yes, that is that is the game by the Maniac Mansion guys.
That you loved so much that you forgot all about, apparently.
I forgot about the Fingertron. No, the Fingertron, that's the name of the fingerprint computer.
Oh yeah, you talked about that. I remember that now. Okay.
There's also an Arrestron and a Facetron.
Yes.
Yeah, I remember you talked about the Facetron.
Yeah. Man, I have a...
And the Tron being a name thing. Naming convention, so...
Yeah. And
see, I pay attention sometimes when I'm quiet.
And I even have a goddamn Thimbleweed Park mug. How could I forget that? Maybe I just...
Falling down on the job, dude.
You need to get a memory Tron, by the way.
Jala, what does Bill say?
Bill says the small resonant bell from Bloodborne because I've been helping people with bosses and chalice dungeons during Return to Yarnum.
Oh, is that the fan event? I believe it's the fan event where people are playing Bloodborne again. Also, Resonant Bell.
They're Bloodborne again? Ha!
What?
They're Bloodborne again, like
Bloodborne
born again Christians.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. They've given their life to Erden. Yeah. Let's see. Devin says nail, a big old nail. But I'm playing through Hollow Knight, so it's expected. Yeah, Hollow Knight you play as a bug, so instead of having a sword, you have a nail.
Ah, gotcha. Yeah, that's on my backlog. I want to play it, especially since I was in the room when you and Gary were recording the episode about Hollow Knight.
Were you?
So I got to hear all about it.
Oh, nice. I know you were here for SSX, but I don't remember the Hollow Knight one.
Yes, also Hollow Knight.
Yeah. God, that's such a good game.
I was forced to listen to it.
You have a Switch
in real
too.
time, but only half of it.
Oh yeah. So Ben, what does John say? If
John
that is
says,
his real name.
John, if that is his real name, says a Moogle that is a bow and also a sword.
Again, a Moogle is animate.
Yes, but if it's also a bow and a sword, though. So bow and the sword, 2 out of 3 of those things are inanimate objects. So
it's inanimate. It's inanimate 2/3 of the time. Okay, all right.
By majority vote.
Yeah, it's a quorum of objects.
Yes.
Jala, what does Chris say?
It says cubes of dirt. Tried out the Dragon Warrior Builders demo on Switch yesterday. So I asked, Dragon Warrior Builders, this game is dirt? He did not answer me.
Oh, you pick up blocks and stuff. That's pretty fun.
It's fun to pick up blocks. Okay. Yeah, I need more information than that to be excited about it. Sorry. You'll have to talk to me about it separately.
Okay. Yeah. I played a little bit of it on PSP. Yeah. Let's see. Graham writes, I've been playing a lot of classic Doom WADs, so right now the medkit means a whole lot to me. WADs are the names of map files and Doom. They call them WADs. Yeah. I don't know. I've always wondered, can you just buy like a med kit that's like a first aid kit? I'm pretty sure you can, right? Or do you have to make one? Okay, your silence implies that the answer is obvious.
I had it muted because I was trying to go get my AC and turn it on. I have the Amazon bought like first aid kit as a thing.
Okay.
So I have multiple of those actually because trainer and things.
Yeah.
But
is it a white box with a big red cross on it?
Oh, it's a little zippy. One of them is a little red zippy pouch thing that is semi soft sided, semi sturdy, that has a big red cross on it, and the other one is just a blue bag zip. So,
okay. Yeah.
Nondescript blue bag that does not let you know that it is a first aid kit whatsoever. But it's
so that way, in case you need to hide it.
Well, that way, in case somebody needs it, it's very conveniently not labeled as anything, so they can very easily tell that it's not a med kit, whatever.
Yeah. Ben is away taming his barking dog, so Jala, what does Jonathan say?
Jonathan says, insect glaive, I'm a helicopter. Whee!
Referring to Monster Hunter World.
Yay!
Yeah. Again, is the I haven't played with that weapon. Is the glaive animate or is it made of bugs?
I don't know anything about it. I have no frame of
bugs.
reference.
See, I don't know why I'm trying to lawyer people to say no, this doesn't count.
There are a lot of times where you're like, it's fine, it counts, but tonight, man, you
no,
were just stickler. I don't know what crawled up your butt. Was it the insect glaive?
Yeah,
did it get in there?
It's very uncomfortable.
It's very uncomfortable, and you were very upset about this.
Yeah.
So,
Adam says blue shell because I've been playing lots of Mario Kart 8 Deluxe.
Play some Mario Kart.
That's fun.
I have that. It's just that I have Breath of the Wild loaded on there already, and it's just laziness. I don't want to close it and change apps and change cards and stuff.
Yeah, I'm running into that problem with my 3DS. Yeah,
I have my
the games are
3DS
way over there.
On. Yeah, well, I have both of my, or actually all three of my handheld systems in my nightstand, so I can very easily pick one up. But it's kind of like when I reached that point of ennui with the games I was playing, I didn't go and load up my Vita because I didn't want to have three of them in sleep mode stacked up on the corner of my nightstand. Oh. So I was like, mind, I refuse. I draw the line at two of these. So.
Yeah, I've got a drawer in my nightstand, so it makes it easy to just let stuff languish.
Well, see, I have a drawer too, but I don't want to let it be in sleep mode and then I forget it and then the battery dies and then I lose whatever I was playing and then that impulse to play it right at that moment, I can't do it because it's dead.
Yeah. Well, my charger is in my drawer, so when it's in the drawer, it's charging.
Oh.
Yeah.
Well, I only have so many plugins, Cole, and I don't have an adapter to put more plugins. I understand that you were giving me options here.
No, I'm not giving you options. I'm just saying what my
directly telling me that it is unnecessary that I do this thing that I'm doing. Back, Ben.
Ben, now that you're back from addressing your barking dog, what's Jeremy say?
Jeremy says Radaway and 45 ammo. Never had enough 45 ammo.
Yep. Especially in New Vegas. Really lean on the 45 in that.
Just go fisticuffs and just punch everything to death.
Yeah, true. Jala, what does Juan say?
Juan says, tears, sweet, sweet tears of joy, self-loathing, frustration, dealer's choice.
Anyone know what game that is?
Possibly Binding of Isaac as well?
All right.
That's what I was thinking.
Since you attack with tears?
Yeah. That is what I was thinking.
Yeah.
It may not be, but that was my thought.
Jello, what does Simone say?
Oh, I get to do another one?
Oh, wait. Okay. No, it's me. It's me this time, sorry. Simone says, the wind scarf. As I race around the world, anything that can provide comfort to my to my bourgeois employer frees me to pick the fastest route and poke at some dangerous mysteries. The wind scarf. Are you referring to, is that... Oh, wind scarf.
I don't know, but it makes me think of the Wind Monks because I just recently played that game that I like, that I talked about last time. The sequel to the other game, The Inner World.
Okay,
there you go, that one. Something World.
Yeah.
Teflon.
Yeah, the Teflon of Teflon.
A
Yes.
Google search of windscarf video game yields Journey as the
Journey.
top results.
Ah, okay.
But I don't think that's it.
I think that I missed the class dynamics and inherent to Journey.
Yeah. It was real subtle.
Respond and say what game that is, Simone. Yeah, Ben, what does Rob say?
Rob says, potatoes! Potato is the Warframe community nickname for the items used to double the mod allotment of the weapons and frames. The devs also made the fan nickname canon in a quest dialogue by making it an acronym.
Yeah, I know nothing of Warframe.
We don't have our resident Warframe expert online, so.
No, we do not. When I see potatoes in relation to games, I think of Portal 2. Yeah. A lot of us are thinking of Portal really quickly these days.
Well, because Portal is great. That is all.
Okay.
Controversial opinion that the Duckfeed community holds.
Jala, what does Sam say?
Sam says, not sure if they count as animate or inanimate. Look, he's addressing your concern, Kole.
He's just getting out in front of me. Okay.
But I've been playing Surviving Mars, and the infrastructure of your colony consists mainly of hundreds of Roomba-esque drones that constantly ferry around materials, maintain stuff, and make big piles of the rocks left over from mining. It looks awesome when you set the game speed to maximum. And I requested that he show me because I need to see these Roombas. They are very awesome. Look at the comments.
Oh my gosh, they're like cross-eyed.
I like them Roombas.
Look at them go.
Yeah,
man, Surviving Mars looks so good.
Well, now you know that there are Roombas involved, Kole.
Yeah, I'm just waiting for it to go on sale.
Yes.
Huh.
Consider the Roomba.
Yes. Consider the Roomba in its natural habitat. Yeah.
On Mars.
Yep. That's where they grow up. We send solar planes there to harvest them.
That explains why yours has so many eyes on it.
Yeah. Well, it was a factory second. They didn't completely DI it. Most of them in the natural habitat are covered with more eyes.
Yeah.
Anyway, that was me, right?
That was me.
That was you.
I said the
so
thing.
It'll be me who reads Franz's and says, Blink Rune. It's about the only thing I use in Dishonored 2. Huh. I wonder if you can actually get, it obviously wouldn't be whalebone, but I wonder if you could get on Etsy the Blink Rune. That'd be a cool little object to have.
That just means the blink ability, or?
Yeah, but actually I was asking, where are you in the game? And, Corvo playthrough. And then he's like, no, far reach. So, yay.
Well, yeah.
I don't know, but that would be neat. Yes, you're right. Rune. Nice.
Yeah.
Sure, you can get it on Etsy.
Ben, round us out with Lindsay.
Lindsay says, dragons, fire, babbling brooks, beautiful stories, swords, and guns. These are some of the things I could use to describe Ni no Kuni 2, which has taken number one as in my favorite games list. It's so good.
Oh.
These are a few of my favorite things.
Yeah. I would say dragons are animate, fire and brooks are not. Stories are incorporeal, that doesn't, and then swords and guns are definitely inanimate. Inanimate is different from sentient, right? So I would call the Roombas animate but not sentient, right? Same thing as grass.
Thank you for all of this classification.
Taxonomy,
This is the real question of the show. Yeah.
The real question behind the question is what we're quizzing you on.
Yeah.
For me, it would be a vial of some kind of virus.
Yes, this is true.
Yeah. Let's just say a vial of some kind of virus, which technically inanimate. A virus is just genetic code that's not actually alive. Yeah. How about you, Ben?
I had a hard time coming up with this one. I mean, this is going to lead into what we've been playing.
Yeah.
So I might answer this question when we talk about that to buy me some more time.
That's great. It's the same thing for me, but also I have an answer really easily. Seals. I'll talk more about that when I talk about my grind.
Seals like some
Seals,
black sea
you will not know more about them until I talk about it in the grind. You wait.
Navy seals.
You wait.
It could be stuff you put on a letter.
I know
Can you at least tell us if it's animate or inanimate?
I know.
Well, you know what? I already addressed these seals the last time I talked about Fire Emblem Awakening. So if you were paying attention, Ben, you would know.
Yeah. Cool. Well, thank you everybody for responding to that. If you like these short ones, let us know. Probably won't all be like this, but they're fun when they happen.
No, they won't.
Yeah, they're short. Brevity is hard, even on the question side. So, but anyway, if you want to participate in these, go to facebook.com/thelevelpodcast. They go up on Monday afternoons, thanks to Jala and Dennis. Jala and or Dennis. They don't both do them at the same time. It's usually
sometimes.
Jala.
Every once in a while it happens, all right?
Usually,
and then one of us has to go delete one.
Yeah, usually it's Jala who checks and says, "Hey, is one up?" And then you work it out, and then one of you goes and does it. You can learn more in the the grind. Now it is time for the grind, where we talk about the games we have been playing over the past week or so, since all of us were here last week. Jala, since you went not last time, Dennis went last, but since you went third last time, I'm gonna have you go first.
Sure. So, the first thing that I had been playing is more of Fire Emblem Awakening, as I spoke about in the multiplayer.
Hence the seals.
Yeah.
More shipping.
I will discuss the seals in a minute. So, I got Owain, who is another kid from the future, just like my own child from the future who has shown up. And that's great. He is very much like Okabe from Steins Gate. He is super chunibyo, so like he sounds so much like what's his head? Like I posted it on the Twitter. Let me pull up my Twitter and show you, because I am always posting whatever screenshots. If I don't post them on Instagram, they're probably on my Twitter feed, because I think I post the most screenshots there of all places. So
yeah. I have no context. I know chunibyo means like second grader syndrome. It basically just acts like a little kid who's always pretending. Like in Steins Gate,
here.
In Steins Gate, he pretends to be a mad scientist.
Well, this guy is real special.
Leave now if you value your life and limb, for I cannot stay the hungry hand. I am the wolf who howls for justice, the eagle who cries for love, a chosen warrior come from the future to bring hope to a dying world.
And meanwhile, Crom is like, I am so lost right now. What is he even talking about?
What the fuck are you going on about?
Like, nobody knows what the hell he's talking about. I don't know if he knows what he's talking about. So anyway, like, he keeps on going on about his hungry hand, and it just reminds me of Okabe and his like weird obsession with his like, my head hurts.
I think you mean Ho and Kiyomiya. Yeah. That's the name that he prefers to be called by.
Yeah, I know. I don't care.
People don't believe me.
I'm not buying in. So anyway.
People don't believe me when I say I like that game or that anime or stuff. Like, no, I love it. It's very good.
It's fine. I like it too. But anyway, so the seals. I have started using master seals and second seals that unlock different class changes. When I was discussing the structure of how this game works, basically when you hit a certain level, you can change your class to, an upgraded advanced version, or switch your class over entirely to some other profession. And so the master seals upgrade it to an advanced version, and a second seal allows you to switch from whatever you're at to a different profession entirely. So I have therefore discovered that this game is a fucking nightmare of class changes to get specific skills, kind of like Final Fantasy Tactics.
Oh, and God.
That is not my fave. So
is there a strategy guide that they have been expecting you to follow?
I Googled to look because I was like, I don't have any idea about what to do at this point. And then I looked and I'm like, oh my Jesus Christ, look at this stuff.
So wait, you're making it sound like this is something that you only get a couple times. Are they expecting you to play the game multiple times?
Well, you change the same characters. Like apparently, when I was just scrolling through what to do, like with Noe and Pane, which I'll talk about in a second, like they talk about go to this class and then this class and then like they do like 5 different class changes throughout the game and then end up back at their original class at the end of the game. So I don't even know what the hell the point of all the class jumping is. I mean, actually, yes, I do. It's to get the specific skills that you want them to have from each of those classes. But it seems like the summary is like by the end of the game, everybody just returns to whatever they started as. After doing a bunch of traveling around, which I don't know, that just seems really arbitrary to me, and I'm not a big fan of that. So certain characters though, like Noe and Pane, can progress beyond level 20 in their base class, where others cap at 20 and need to be switched to a new class in order to progress. Like I've got all these other characters who they hit 20 and they stop gaining experience and leveling up. Like I had to change them. I didn't have a choice. So but Noe and Pane and a few others are able to, like stay their original class. So I guess that's why those end up, bouncing back to their original class at the end of the game, is because you can keep leveling that. Yeah. But I don't know. So I don't know. Like I made Pane, one of the characters, into a Wyvern Rider, and she's not up to level 20, which is basically, I guess, the cap for most of these. But her stats really aren't increasing anymore, so I guess I have to change her class again? I have no idea, because, it seems that is the name of the game, is just change all the classes all the time. So, the problem is, there's so many different skills from all these different classes, and it just I'm not down for the idea that I have to spend the rest of the game changing people around from class to class to, get these skills. Because, unless you've played through the game multiple times or are reading a FAQ, you're not going to know what skills you need to be shooting for with each character. So you're just kind of derping around and have either happy accidents or unfortunate ones, So I'm not excited about that turn of events insofar as how they're trying to make the gameplay more interesting. The difficulty has scaled up because the enemies are now hitting heavier, than they were before. But I'm not down with what they're doing to make it more intricate at this point. Yeah. Because I remember when I did set it down for a little bit, the last time I spoke about this game, I was saying that it's not super, super challenging at this point, and I'm not real jazzed about the battles. And, this is how they're trying to make it more interesting at this juncture, is by throwing it, this capacity to change classes at you. And I'm like, I'm not really on board for that. So, however, it's not all complaining. I'm still playing it regularly because the storyline is getting more interesting. However, there was a very emotional father-daughter part that really punched me in the gut because my dad was recently hospitalized and almost died. Right. And his current health is not the best. So, I had to stop playing the story for a little bit, which is why I was looking at these messy class and skill tree things. Right. Is because I was like, okay, I need a break from doing storyline stuff. There's all these side quests I can do and... Yeah. Whatever, I'll just do that for a while.
You decided to stop and optimize.
Yeah. And then I was like, oh, optimization is a giant nightmare. Well, no. That's not a fun discovery. So I don't know. Maybe eventually I will settle down about it and settle into it. Kind of like how I did with Final Fantasy Tactics. Eventually I settled into it and it was okay. But it's just kind of to throw that at you all at once is kind of not exciting because it's kind of like that same steep learning curve. And then it's you're really not going to know how you want to, what kind of path you want these characters to take through their different progressions until you've played the game enough to understand every single class and what skills they get and at what levels.
Yeah, it's okay. For a very long time, just kind of navigating by the end of your nose works, just like, ooh, that looks neat, that looks neat, that looks neat. And then the fog pulls away and you realize, no, I've just been fucking around in circles over here and I am not ready for what the game is going to throw at me.
And that's my concern, is that's going to be how it is in the end of the game. But I don't know, because I don't want to, I guess I can go to a fact, but I really...
That feels like throwing your hands up, right?
Yeah. When you have to rely on a fact in order to get through the game, there's a problem. You know, like, okay, that's ridiculous. So I'm not going to be using a fact. Like, I did peek at it to see, like, at least an idea of what I should be doing with a couple of those characters that I was completely mystified about. But the rest of them, I'm just picking classes according to, like, their personality or something, like, you know, whatever strikes my fancy at the time, or that one looks cooler, or I like the stats on that one better, the starting stats better, or something. So that's how I am picking stuff at this juncture. So if the listener has any quick tips or whatever on all the classes and stuff, feel free to drop it by. But yeah, so like the story was at first serviceable. It is getting a little bit more interesting. I mean, it's still typical JRPG stuff, but I guess what makes it interesting to me is the first off, the acting is good, and the animation, the cutscenes, you know, like the 3D animation stuff is working well for me. And then also just like the emotive parts of it, the dramatic, you know, elements of it work, particularly given my specific situation at this time. So that is why that is still working for me as a thing, and that is why, yes, I have some problems with it. A few things that are making me they're not problems. It's more like they're making me cautious. They're throwing up some little flags at me where I'm like, don't know what I think about that yet. Yeah, I will see.
I mean, they may be throwing those flags up to subvert them later.
Yeah, we'll see. So that is all I have to say about Fire Emblem Awakening. Do you have anything else you want to ask?
I mean, is the combat, like, are the scenarios getting any more interesting?
Oh, the scenarios themselves are not any more interesting than they were before. The placement of the enemies or the settings or the goals and stuff are not specifically more interesting. They have an aspect now that, like, there are forts where every once in a while, once you kill off all the enemies, more enemies will pop up from there. But that is their quote-unquote strategic element in those battles. Is there's more enemies, and that's not that exciting. So,
oops, guess what? More enemies. Yeah,
that's not the most exciting way to jazz up a strategy. So, there's not an increase in strategic elements that I'm finding, but like I said, I mean, a lot of the enemies basically just hit harder, and that's it. I don't know. So nothing new on the front of difficulty level insofar as that's concerned. Just leveling up enemies, numbers and things going up. That's it.
Cool.
I like the story, so that's good.
Nice.
So the next game, I played some of Hidden My Game by Mom, which was on my phone. You had mentioned, and apparently this is like the thing that all the people are super crazy about, because I posted about this, right? And then all these people on Facebook, all these listeners were just like, oh my God, it's the best game ever.
It's
and
beloved.
I'm like, oh, Jesus Christ. Like, it is, okay, it is all right. It is kind of novelty, you know?
Yeah, it exists solely on quirk.
Yeah, and that's pretty much what I was gonna say. Like, it's not bad, but it's not quite funny enough for me to laugh. Like, it's amusing, but it's not quite funny enough for me to laugh. It is definitely unique. It is a unique little puzzle game, but it's not like I play puzzle games with some degree of frequency, so like it's not that exciting.
Yeah. So. And like puzzle is oftentimes very generous for what's going on. These are like little like one or two scene kind of scenarios.
Joke Explorer? Yeah.
What's that?
Joke Explorer?
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah. And just the like all of the kind of humor and even some of the difficulty is just your mom will burst out with her police whistle in surprising ways.
Yeah, and so just to recap for people who have started listening since you mentioned that, I have no idea when you talked about that game. Hidden My Game by Mom is a puzzle ? Game that is free on your phone. So you can download it and play it. I encourage people to check it out just because it's interestingly different. But basically, you are a kid whose portable gaming device has been taken by mom and hidden somewhere, probably because you were playing too much. And so the idea is you are in a room and you have to find your gaming device. And your mom is hiding in places in the room. Like one time she's behind a curtain that she is holding up and you can see her feet and her hands. And then like,
she's standing in the corner with a lampshade on her head. Like it's very obvious.
Yeah, it's really obvious, silly stuff like that. And then like the most random stuff is blocking you from getting your gaming device. So like, one time I had bicyclists, and then there was like a pyramid of people like on top of each other blocking the way to the cabinet where the game was. And some other time I had to get a golden handheld gaming device and throw it into a lake that was in the middle of my room for some reason. And then a mermaid, I guess.
So the Lady of the Lake. It's like Excalibur.
The Lady of the Lake. Yeah, like through your actual gaming device at you, and that's how you get it. And I don't know, stuff like that. It's just real weird and random. So, it's a thing.
It is a game that will make you smile out loud quite frequently, and that's about it. And you're probably like there is a sequel. You'll probably run out of interest before that happens. But I think it's definitely it's worth the plunge.
Yeah, it's worth taking because it's free. So I mean, like. Take a few minutes if you have a few minutes and just look at it and go, oh, okay, that exists.
It's like a Flash game, honestly.
Yeah, pretty much. So that's the second thing I played. I played a little bit of that. I'm done with that now.
Yeah.
And the last thing that I played is a listener recommended that I play Gorogoa.
Okay, so this, I think, is a double Black Diamond game to talk about on a podcast. Not because of subject matter. It's, quite whimsical or, as long as you don't dig too deep into it. I played this, at least most of it. I have no idea how to describe the mechanics or the visual trick of it. So I will leave this to you.
Okay, so I will do the thing. So first off, this game is on Steam, GOG, Switch, PS4, Xbox One, and iOS, and it was released in December. So I mean, it is a new game, but it's also available kind of like in most places. So I did also want to mention that the game's name, because I wanted to know this, so I Googled it, came from a creature that the developer made up as a child, and he wanted to use it because it's not part of any given language, and so anybody can come to this and have the exact same kind of neutral response to the title. And the entire puzzle game, the story that's in it, that's conveyed through this game, is completely told through imagery alone, again for the same reason, so that way anybody from any country with any language can understand what's going on from just the visuals alone. So before I mention how the mechanics work, I do want to say that it's got a very beautiful hand-drawn aesthetic, which is kind of like the main thing that this game has been praised for. This guy wanted to make a graphic novel at one point, and he decided that he wanted to instead integrate his love of games. And, without having any experience doing, any game development work, he started working on this game. And it's kind of an interesting story how he went through, because this is a single person operation, but it's a very, very beautiful game.
It's been in development for a long time, and you can tell he leans into the art first. Like if you're not in a place where you can look up a screenshot of it, which I encourage you to do, think like Little Nemo.
Yeah.
A little bit.
Yeah.
No.
And the overall story idea is that you are basically a boy that's seeking an encounter with kind of like a divine beast or something. And the imagery shifts through different themes of peace and war and rebuilding. So, I mean, it's a lot of kind of like spiritual ideas that are thrown out there without any commentary, because it's imagery only. So the way that this game works is you have 4 panels in a grid, and you have to stack them, combine them, and explore the images to find the connections between them in order to progress. So sometimes if you are looking at a panel, you can click and drag and part of that panel will basically act as a frame. Like if you were looking at a plate on the wall, you can click and drag, and then everything else in the scene except that plate pulls away to be a new panel that is acting like a frame with a circular hole in the center.
Mm-hmm.
Meanwhile, that plate is now in a new setting entirely, and now you have a new area to explore because you've dragged away, part of this layering. So this game's all the panels are all about layering and about, again, like kind of finding the contiguous spots. Like there are patterns in the wall that will tip you off that they need to connect together and things like that you have to find in order to advance through the game.
Yeah. And like by recontextualizing what is a frame or what's the background, you open up doors or windows. So like if you have three frames, one of which is like a dark office, another one is like a field with a sun above it, and the other of which is that same frame that has like the plate on it. You drag the plate frame over the sun to make a window, and then you drag the window into the dark room to light things up and reveal more stuff to stack.
Yeah. And so like that's how you make different parts of the scene move. Like when you put that lighted window in that dark room, then maybe the guy gets up and walks over to the window or something, and then that changes the setting or changes something to allow you to progress further. Also, when you're making doors and things like that, that's another way to get the little boy who's looking for this encounter with the divine beast. It helps him get through, and navigate the panels, because he will start walking in a direction and, he's got a goal. He needs to collect these different objects in order to basically summon the divine beast. And so you have to get him through all of the panels as well. So and
scale takes place, like takes precedence too, because like you can zoom in on particular elements, and that actually changes whether or not like the boy is far away from you or close to you, like, or you can make him bigger in relation to a scene by zooming in the context frame to make him bigger and then drop him onto something else.
Yeah, and sometimes like I would find myself stymied just because like it's not that it is super difficult. It's more like you're looking at all these images for their shape, which can work double or triple time as different types of objects. Yeah. And so, like there's a part where train tracks become a ladder, for example, and then like you have to, like look at things for not just what they are as objects, but also, what they are insofar as just shapes and lines. As if you are an artist, it kind of requires an artistic eye to connect all the dots sometimes.
It's a little bit like you're constantly looking for like match frames, right? Like think the beginning of 2001: A Space Odyssey, where he throws up the bone and that like it's it dissolves over to the spaceship, like over top of it. Like it's just like that. You're just looking for that shape suggests something else, and if you overlay it in a new area, it'll pop up, and act like that other thing.
I've been watching a playthrough for the game, and it looks like so beautiful. Like,
Yep. And the entire game is actually really short. Like once you know what to do, if you don't know what to do, it'll probably take you a couple of hours or, an hour or something. I don't know, depending upon how long it takes you to solve these puzzles and, recontextualize everything in your brain. You aren't really likely to get totally stuck, because although some of the puzzles, or some of the matchups are definitely a challenge of your attention to detail, they're not like ridiculous fishing. I mean, they're not, they're not really like over the top hard. It's not a difficulty scale that you are working on necessarily.
Even if the thing that they're asking you to do is super counterintuitive, you're dealing with 2 to 4 frames of information with maybe like 1 or 2 different like zoom points inside of it. So like the possibility space is constrained to where if you need to brute force something, you absolutely can.
Yeah.
So this game also, I want to talk a little bit about its background again. This was interesting to me, and then I'll talk about my overall opinion. This game was given awards at Indiecade and Independent Games Festival even before it was released, and even more awards and nominations after its release by IGN, Polygon, Eurogamer, Game Developers Choice Awards, South by Southwest Gaming Awards. Like, there's a whole list if you go to the website. And it's like this ridiculous chunk of just all these different things. And here, I'll put the website link in there so you guys can go look at same. But the dev, Jason Roberts, like I said, he was developing this. Or actually, he first wanted to develop this as a card game that was inspired by interactive comics, but thought that was too complex. So then he thought about writing a graphic novel. And then he decided, there are indie games kind of like Braid and stuff like that were super successful, that he decided that he wanted to take this and turn it into a game because he likes games. Yeah. And he quit his job to work full-time on the game in 2011. And in 2013, he ran out of money, but was able to still fund his work through an investment by Indie Fund. Yep. And, a little while later, in 2016, Annapurna Pictures announced that they were going to have a gaming branch, Annapurna Interactive. And they picked up Gorogoa as one of its first published works. And then, as I said, last year at the end is when it finally came out. But it has been in, production forever. And all that time and love and care definitely shows in the artistic stuff that's going on with this. I don't really know what to make of the end result of the story, which, ta-da, I'm not going to spoil. But the, overall imagery and the way that the puzzles flow into each other and the scenes switch from one to another is really interesting and engaging. Yeah. When I picked this up to play it, although I do have a nasty habit of, especially with puzzle games, of just playing a little bit, setting it down, and then coming back and playing a little bit and setting it down, I didn't want to do that with this game. So I just did the entire thing in one setting. Yeah. So... that happens sometimes when I get excited about a game, but with this one, it was just like everything just kept on flowing one thing into another. It kind of felt like looking at a mandala or something, So, and there are mandalas in the game. Yeah. So yeah,
it's part of the patterns you have to match and look out for.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. So yeah, it's definitely interesting. It's very unique in the way that it operates. I like the fact that it is an atypical style of puzzle. I don't think I've seen one done in quite this kind of style. I mean, I'm sure there's plenty of them out there that have done something like this, but not this necessarily this particular way.
If somebody is listening to this and basing things based on what we've talked about before, think of it as like a more kind of Baroque version of Framed.
That's what I was going to say.
Yeah.
Much deeper strategy.
And it's actually because I was playing Framed 2 and talking about that my first mentioned this game to me. So that is what came to her mind when she mentioned this as something that I should play. And I picked it up when she mentioned it, and it's been sitting on my phone because, I have lots of games in places and I stash them there, and sometimes I pull them out and play them. Yeah. So, yeah. But I finally got around to playing this one, and it was fun. Nice. So I would recommend it. It's interesting, and the kind of overall vibe that you get from this game is also kind of unique. I don't know how to describe it exactly.
Yeah, but it's simultaneously like whimsical and desperate. Like it ends up touching on some pretty dark stuff.
It does.
That has a pretty heavy implication that this is very much an interior world of some kind. Notice I almost said inner world, but that would have been confusing.
Yeah. So, it was very interesting, refreshing to play.
Yeah. I'm happy that you played this because I had played it and forgotten about it because I just had no idea how I was going to describe it in words. So it was good to have you it was good to have you take the majority of the work and we could clarify it off of each other.
Well, given the fact that a lot of times I will just say lots of words and then you have to distill what I'm saying into something comprehensible, it's nice to actually have the reverse happen.
Nice. Yeah, it's really inexpensive too. Especially, I think I got it for like $5 on iPad. Like,
Yeah. It was like $4.99, I think. So yeah.
No, it's nifty.
Yep, worth playing.
I was actually going to bring this up. It's $15 on Steam right now.
Oh, because the screen's bigger.
Yeah, I guess so. It's probably like 20 on Switch because reasons.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, because Nintendo.
yeah.
Yeah.
Now I want to know how much it is on Switch.
Oh, I assure you, it's $20.
Yeah.
Yeah. Cool. And is that all you've been playing?
That is it.
I know it is because you sent the list over, but I didn't want to sound rude by just moving us on.
I am the only one who sends you responsibly a list of all the things that I have been playing, so you are prepared.
I don't even share a list because I don't even know what I'm going to talk about.
I also am the one who has to prompt Dennis about the multiplayer. If I wasn't there, what would you do? You would just do it in the afternoon. It's fine.
Probably.
Wing it. Yeah, just like you did before I came along. Yeah, you had a show. I've got a little
reminder that says check and see if there's a multiplayer up. And you guys,
you don't need me. It's all right. I understand.
I absolutely appreciate you.
I love you anyway. We can move on.
Okay, Ben, what you been playing?
So I got a big one and a small one. I'll do the small one first. I picked up a game called Hand Simulator. It's kind of like WAP.
Okay.
You press buttons to control your hands, and so I guess maybe it's more like Surgeon Simulator. But there's like you can play it on like a VR if you want, but it's like a couple different scenarios. They're all just very goofy. Like one of the funnier ones is like it's like a shootout where you're sitting at a poker table and you have to try and shoot the person across from you, and that's the mission objective. And so you have to control your hand to reach out on a gun, pick it up, and then somehow get another like finger or like the other hand or something to pull the trigger of it. And it's a very hard task to do.
Oh my god!
Yeah,
this looks so awkward.
It's very awkward. The first mission they give you is the horror themed one, which is where you start off. You have two hands in the frame. There's a television with like static and like noise coming from it, and then there's an old lady like slowly walking towards you, and that's the mission. You don't know how to solve that, and then as soon as the old lady gets close to you, it does a hard cut to her screaming at you in your face, and then you have to start over again.
Oh my god! There's a sniper situation. There's a bomb defusal. Oh my god!
Yeah. I've only played a few of these missions. There's a Christmas themed mission as well.
Yeah. Oh my god! There's Jenga. I don't know. It's a goofy little game. It's super cheap. I don't know. Is this like one of those like YouTube videos that it's like, oh, this is audio visual like hallucinogen? Like the idea of Hand Simulator just makes me think that this is designed to make you feel as high as fuck.
I have not played it on drugs yet, so maybe I can try that and see if it enhances the experience.
Yeah.
But it's very goofy though. Yeah, I don't know. They have a lot of variety in missions, but all of them are equally frustrating.
Yeah.
There's a chess mission. I don't know.
Just knocking over all the pieces.
There's I forgot. There's a fidget spinner one.
Yeah, I'm looking at that one right now.
Try and pick up a fidget simulator and spin it. It's
fighting off Vikings that are coming after you.
The preview of the game, all of them look fun. Playing the game, all of them are very anxiety-inducing. It's like, just get it to spin. Come on. But anyway, it's a goofy little game. The bigger game that I want to talk about is I've been playing Divinity Original Sin 2.
Ooh, nice.
I picked up. It's a Kickstarter game. It's like top-down, kind of in the style of Baldur's Gate. It's a high fantasy type game. But it's very similar to kind of like something like Knights of the Republic or Fallout, where I definitely compare it to, I think, Knights of the Republic, where you're kind of put in a situation where you're in an environment where there's a lot of different side missions that you kind of have to resolve in any order, but it's like densely packed with different things you can do, different like places to explore kind of. And then you have the one thing that's interesting about this is it's like instead of like Knights of the Republic where it's like a 3-party combat system, here it's up to a 4-party combat system. You're kind of presented with, I think, maybe like 5 different companions that you can pick from to fill out your party, or they make it so that you could just do 1 or 2 people, and they have like a lone wolf modification where they basically just double your stats, and you can have half as many people, which they don't really recommend. A lot of people say that's probably not the best way to do it if you're starting for the first time, because it makes it a little bit harder. But yeah,
it's probably less daunting if somebody is not particularly interested in the party management aspect of it.
Yeah, I'm trying to do the lone wolf aspect because I'm just trying to focus on like 1 or 2 classes, and just I guess I don't know, but I'm doing it with summoner classes, so I'm basically spawning 2 other people and then they're attacking as well, so it's kind of evening out.
Yeah. This is the one of these that is really focused on like not physics simulation, but like if you spill a bunch of oil on the battlefield, you can light it on fire or stuff like that.
Yeah, and there's like a lot of ones that I haven't even used yet, but it definitely has like kind of a deeper interaction system. There's some of the elements that they have like blood, water, fire, poison, oil.
What does too much blood on the battlefield do?
I'm not sure about that.
They slip.
Yeah. So one of the things you can do with a summoner is there's one ability where you spawn a totem, and the totem takes whatever element it is spawned on top of. So for example, if you're on a wooden ship and you spawn it is a wooden totem and it fires like planks at people or something like that. If you spawn it on blood, it does something like spawn some sort of mosquito type thing that shoots at people but causes them to bleed then. So it's like a physical attack. If you spawn it in a fire pile, then it shoots like fire attacks at people. So nice. Like there's like they do a good job of like I don't know what's the word. They do a good job of managing like a highly complicated system, and like it all just kind of works out. Like there's interactions with like if you throw fire on top of poison, it'll burn it up, so it'll evaporate, and so you can do that to like clear a path if you need to go through. But no, I mean there's like a good amount of secrets. There's a good amount of like you can only access this if you have this skill sort of buff type thing. So I've already put like 20 to 30 hours in the game, but I haven't got past like the first main area, and I've started like maybe 3 or 4 games. So it's kind of like scratching a similar itch of like Knights of the Republic. I don't know if it's a healthy or unhealthy gameplay of it, but it's like trying to explore like every corner of the map and trying to do like a perfect run through of it. So it's been fun. Usually like I'm not as into a game with this art style with like top down. Usually that kind of like breaks the immersion for me. But I'm actually kind of getting into this one, so it's been interesting so far. I've only been playing single player. I want to try the multiplayer of it, so that's something I'll probably try and do at some point this week.
Designed to be co-op, right? Like instead of having the companions, the AI companions, they just slot into your party.
Yeah, and I haven't done it yet. I think that's the idea, but I don't know how it exactly breaks down and how it works. Right. So, yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
How's the dialogue? Can you like talk your way out of a fight?
Yeah, you can. And again, it depends. Like, so not only do they have like things like persuasion, stuff like that, you also have like a background, and so you have like it's kind of similar to like I think they did this in Mass Effect, where you have like 1 of 3 like origin stories, and then that can sometimes affect dialogue. They have a thing where if you build a custom character, there's like there's like 2 tags that you can pick from at the beginning of the game, and like your choices for that, it could be like a scholar if you want to be like intelligent, it could be like an outlaw if you kind of want to be bandity, and then there's also tags that you gain by doing certain actions. So you can gain like a hero tag if you like stand up for an imprisoned person or something like that, and then that can open up dialogue options later.
It's like your reputation will precede you.
Yeah. So it's definitely interesting so far. I don't really have a final review of the game because I haven't gotten too far in it, so I'll kind of hold back on criticizing it or praising it too much, but it's definitely interesting so far.
You've played like 20 or 30 hours in a week.
Yeah, but I've only played like the same 2 areas over and over again to try and like figure out like how everything works.
So, I guess what I'm saying is something must be working for you.
That's fair. Like I have not bounced off of it, so it is at least pretty interesting.
Nice.
Yeah. I guess I will have one little nitpick about the checkpointing's not so great. So it's kind of on you to make save points frequently, Because often I've gotten in a situation where I'll look up and the last like save point is like 30 minutes ago, and it's like, well, I'm not going to go back to that.
You have to exercise some old school save hygiene.
Yeah, pretty much.
Mm-hmm. What kind of build or what kind of class have you found to be kind of the most satisfying to play?
Yeah, so the first playthrough I was doing a rogue, and I was kind of trying to kind of have like a diversity of classes. That kind of was a little bit ineffective, and so I kind of did something different with it. Second playthrough, the way the combat works is turn-based, and every person that you meet will have two types of armor. They have like physical armor, which is like against physical attacks with your blades or bows or whatever. And then there's like magical defense, where if you like throw fire or water on them, then they have like defense against that. And so depending upon who you're fighting, they might have something really high in one and really low in another, or vice versa. And so the problem with my original build is I had like two party members that would do magical attacks and two party members that do physical attacks. And so if you're doing that on the same target, you're kind of being inefficient, because you're draining both of their armors first, and then you're actually starting to do their actual HP. So instead I went back and just did one of the characters, the companions you can choose from. He's meant to be kind of like a summoner. That's like one of his base skills are. And so what I did is I did a custom character who is a summoner as well, and did a lone wolf with that character. And one of the reasons why I did that is since your progress is like doubled if you're doing lone wolf. There's a benchmark you get if you get to level 10 summoning, where the like creature that you summon is, instead of it being like kind of like a little imp that attacks people, it's like a giant tank that attacks people. So I'm trying to rush that and trying to get to level 5 and then see where to go from there, I guess. But they do like, I don't know, they do a really good job of like, there's a good diversity of environments that you go to. It feels kind of like the best of the best in terms of like D&D campaigns. And then there's just like, they just do really like playful things. So for example, at one point you're in this place called like so-and-so's playground, which is like a torture chamber. You can like sneak up on the person and like try and steal from them, which I did. And you can steal this contraption that they have where it works on any dead body, where you can rip off their face and just keep it as an item. Okay.
Okay.
So I did that and started doing that because maybe I'll need faces later in the game. So here's a bunch of faces that I have.
You never know what kind of sickos are out there who might ask you for a bunch of faces.
Yeah, and I want to be prepared for that. So I don't know. So there's just like a bunch of like random sorts of like interactions like that you're like, oh, I'm just really surprised that I can do that in this game. They have this weird thing too where the elf classes in this game, by eating flesh, they can tell the history of what they're eating. I'm not sure if this is like canonical in other like high fantasy type fictions. So like if you have somebody's leg that's like left over from their body, you can just give it to the elf of your party. They can eat it, and then they'll access memories that body had. So it's really bizarre. So
that actually reminds me. There's something like that in Torment: Tides of Numenera. There's like a whole cult where they eat people in order to retain their memories and pass them on.
Gotcha. Yeah, it's weird. I hadn't heard of this before, so this is very I don't know. Yeah, it's a bizarre sort of thing. I guess one example where it comes up is there's a place where there's like crocodiles and there's like a dead body. And you go and you can eat that if you're an elf or whatever, and it's just like his last memory is just a tornado of teeth coming at him, and it's just like, oh, I don't know. There's some weird flavor text that comes out of that, I guess. Nice. But yeah, it definitely seems pretty deep. I was looking up like guides and stuff to try and look at like different areas and like what you can do with them, or like you'll get certain items that you have no idea what to do with. Like for example, one interaction that's kind of cool, like one ability that you can have is you can talk to animals is one of the abilities. And so there's like a dog you can meet who doesn't have an owner, and you can give him meat, and then it'll give you a key. There's like weird interactions like that that are kind of like walled off by like how you're developing your characters. So it does a good job of throwing in like something for everybody on a map where it basically rewards you for whatever branch you're developing, you know? Yeah. So Jala, when you were talking about like the Fire Emblem game where you have to like constantly like respec your classes, like that was giving me like a slight anxiety attack thinking in terms of like this game where it's like hard enough just to pick one class, but the game does a really good job of at least rewarding you for the class that you pick. Yeah. So
yeah.
Yeah. So that aspect of the game seems really good. It seems like it's well designed so far.
Nice.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean that is a series that's just like one of many games like that are of a similar ilk. Say also Tyranny or Torment, Tides of Numenera, things like that, where it's like, oh my gosh, I want to approach them, but they are spicy meatballs.
Yeah.
Yes.
Got to get some Pepto-Bismol if you want to play the game. Yeah.
Yes. Cool. Well, I'm happy you're enjoying it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, wow. So I was going to say like, oh, well, I mean, if they're designing it like that, they must be making it so you can play. It's like a short game that you play through multiple times. No, How Long to Beat pins it at 87 hours for the combined all styles playthrough. So good luck with that.
Yeah.
It's got some legs on it. Yeah.
Nice. Is that all you've been playing?
There's Rocket League and Magic, but that's just assumed at this point.
Taken as read. And any cool Magic things? Are you doing like physical events, or are you just doing the online play?
I streamed last Thursday. I'm still streaming Magic Duels, which is like their like outdated, unsupported version. People are streaming Magic Arena now, which is like basically their answer to Hearthstone. It has like a very similar skin as Hearthstone. But it basically everyone who's working on Magic Duels got pulled, and they're working on Magic Arena right now. But it's still in closed beta, so I've signed up for the invitation, but I haven't got the invitation for that yet. So
right,
I will probably stream that once I get that. So
cool.
Yep.
Yeah. Are we ready for me to go?
Yeah. What do you got?
Yeah.
So last week I finished up Resident Evil 2. Nothing more needs to be said about Resident Evil 2. However, last weekend, I started up and finished in a single night a game that I still don't know what I think about. This is a game called Back in 1995.
Yeah, I don't know what to think about that one either.
So I've talked about this, or I've alluded to it in the past as, something that I was interested in playing because it's called Back in 1995 because it is specifically designed to ape survival horror games from, quite frankly, earlier than 1995. So you play it, and by default, it comes, it's like a Unity game. You play it through like a framing of like you're looking at a monitor, and it has like a really heavy. It's like you're playing it over a bad CRT television. Okay. It is 100% polygon, tank controls, slow as fuck. And also, and I think this is the thing that is the most impressive about it. Like, it is a spot on emulation of the way the PlayStation 1, especially early PlayStation 1 games, would be very like warpy and swimmy with the way they show surfaces or textures. And stuff. So like it's legitimately impressive to see the way that this developer, it's made by a Japanese indie developer whose name I can't recall off the top of my head, to see the work that went into making this feel as faithful as possible to that, right? Like you're playing as a guy who wakes up. It's like this post-apocalyptic scenario where these ghosts are on the loose that have been, like they're the result of this kind of like particle collider kind of accident. These ghosts look like floating turds. They're like a cross between Slimer and almonds. And they don't make any sounds. They just kind of float toward you. Everything is is incredibly pared back, almost to the point where it feels, I said this a couple times in the stream, but I might as well say it here. It's hard to tell if the person who made it loves or hates survival horror games.
It does look like Harry Mason in a Resident Evil setting.
Yes. Specifically, it looks like Harry Mason because of the brown coat and his noodly arms and noodly legs. Yeah. So like every indie game released between 2009 and today, there's more to it than it first appears, especially when you get later on. There is the requisite meta twist that I am hesitant to talk to you much about. Okay. And it becomes very clear that, yes, this is a person who loves this kind of game. Okay. However, it is not fun to play at all. Not one whit. But like mostly you're just like walking around and, you know, dealing with enemies with very, you know, through this very basic combat, examining the backgrounds and trying to find, you know, either keys or number combinations that you can use to open up locks, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that's about it. Minus the meta story stuff that ultimately ends up being, you know, if not great, at least at least cool, noteworthy.
At least a redemption for playing the first half of the game.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, Jala, you watched this, and it didn't seem like you were having any of it.
I watched some of it, but you know, the music is not as annoying as Yume Nikki, so that is good.
Yeah, it's mostly...
I don't know. I like lost interest somewhere in there, and then I went back to doing whatever I was doing in Fire Emblem.
Yeah, no, that's understandable. Yeah, so recommended for genre enthusiast exclusively, and maybe not even that. It is almost impossible to find information about this game online. Like there are no walkthroughs, there are only like a couple of reviews.
There's only 58 reviews for it on Steam right now, and it came out a year ago.
Yeah, it's it I was about to say like it landed with a thud, but it didn't even land really. I don't think. Yeah, I was hoping to get more.
How did you hear about it originally?
Some kind of website.
Okay.
Honestly, just like popped up as like, oh, this is a game that came out or is coming out that will be relevant to people who like this stuff.
Yeah.
Well,
it's disappointing that it's not. That's a little bit of a slog for the first half. I mean, it looks the tone of it looks amazing, you know, or it looks spot on.
Yeah.
But I guess
good.
The tone of the gameplay was spot on as well, and that's why it's a bad thing.
Well, so that's a little bit of a thing. It doesn't give those old survival horror games enough credit. Just because
it doesn't.
It's like, I mean, like even Alone in the Dark wasn't as awkward as this. Like Alone in the Dark is, you know, it's unfriendly in different ways, but it at no point does it feel as hateful in your hands as this does. You know, and that's about as early as you can go when you're looking at this kind of, again, tank control, you know, survival horror, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like even Ecstatica is not as crazy as this, right?
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, like even then you think like, oh, it's faithful, but like no, actually it's like a bad. It's just like a worse version
cover
of this
band.
Thing. Yeah, kind of.
Yeah. I was trying to figure out a way to say it, but you already got it. You got it, Ben. Cover band that didn't really get the original band's true meaning or whatever.
Yeah, it didn't quite grasp the intent.
Yeah.
So I expected to beat that in 2 nights, but it's a very short game, so I beat it in 1. And so I started up Spec Ops: The Line on Hexcrank, which is good and fun. And the second session is going to get way into the more explicitly horrible stuff. So
yeah, it's good and fun. A romp through the middies.
I think at one point I called this a worst person shooter.
That's a good way to describe it.
And you know what's funny is that I think it's just because of the genre that it looks like on the outside, you know, being what it is, that I'm just like, you know, like I was like, oh, cool, I can watch this and then I don't have to play it because it's in my backlog, you know? And then I was like, you know, this kind of game is not that fun to watch. You know, like not for me. So I'm like, I don't want to watch this. I'm gonna go play something else.
Yeah.
So like I popped in and then I popped out again. But
pop into the second half because that's when it becomes more explicitly psychological.
That's what I want to see. But is that like the next time that you stream, you're gonna be picking up and it'll be about the second half?
Yeah, just about I got about halfway through.
Well, understand, too, that I also have a 50K this weekend. And so I do not know how much of this I will be able to see. Although I would like
if you are able.
So, yes. So.
Yeah. So, other than that, most of my time has been spent playing Ultima Underworld for Watch Out for Fireballs. I want to bring that here just for a moment to tell people, even though this game was made in 1992 and it looks archaic as fuck, it's actually really good and fun. And as long as you observe some best practices for modding it a little bit, which is available online, like I would recommend going to play it. Actually, if you like the games that followed off of it, specifically like System Shock, or even Deus Ex. Is good and fun.
Have you been playing any Subnautica?
No.
Right.
I wanted to leave that until I can find a way to stream it.
Word.
Yeah. The only other thing I've been doing is playing more Plague Inc. because I wanted something to play, to play when I was going to sleep that was not Picross, because I'm winding down on Pokemon. I think it's time to put Picross away for a little bit. Went a little bit too hard, too fast.
Cross it off your list.
Yep.
You're waiting for my eye to twitch.
Just waiting for the sound of a table being flipped in the background.
Yeah, softly in the distance. I've talked about Plague Inc. before, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Maybe. I've heard of the game before.
Yeah. This is the game where you're playing as a virus. But like, most of the gameplay is spent looking at a world map, seeing the spread, and like really it's kind of a simple simulation, all things told. Like you pick where the disease starts, you pick what kind of virus or what kind of disease you are at the beginning. Like you start out with just bacteria, then it goes to virus, and then it goes to like, I think I'm on fungus right now. And then you use DNA points that you get by kind of like succeeding and thriving as a virus in order to mutate, so that you can infect as many people as possible, with the ultimate goal being to wipe out all of humanity.
Mm-hmm. Noble goal.
Yeah.
Yay!
So really grim. However, there is some good strategy to it, because not everything is under your control, right? Like there are externalities that happen, like different world events, different kind of like migration things. So if you start out like, oh, we're transmitted by birds, well, occasionally birds will either migrate more or migrate less, or when governments start locking things down, they will start exterminating all the birds.
Yeah, I heard the meme of this game is like Madagascar is really hard to get late game.
Yeah, either Madagascar or Greenland locks down like that. To the point where it almost makes
no
sense.
There.
But it's like most people will shut down their ports, and oftentimes like it's easier to spread in the tropics, just because most of your abilities are for either humid areas or poor areas, and Greenland is neither humid nor poor. God, this is fucking dark. Yeah. But yeah, like you are trying to balance it, because what you need to do is like try to stay as asymptomatic as possible, so that you can spread. So like you want to infect as many people as possible before you start developing the abilities that will cause your death toll to rise, because as people start dying, they start researching a cure. Or if you're too good at killing people, then
it won't spread.
Yeah, like it'll kill, like all of the hosts will die, and then it'll die out that way. So you're trying to manage those rates, and it is by no means a comforting game to play, but it is a very passive game to play, where you're just making a couple of different decisions as you go, and kind of watching the simulation play out and watching the news ticker go.
Do they have like a part where it's kind of like Pokemon, where your virus evolves into a better form?
Actually, so something that happens, like you will evolve symptoms randomly, and that's a way that they differentiate like between like bacteria and virus. Like virus is harder because it mutates rapidly. So what'll happen is you'll be going along and thinking, okay, I want to stay as asymptomatic as possible, and then it'll just get an alert and say you spontaneously evolve the ability to put people in comas. It's like, ah, shit. And then you have to spend your resources to devolve that. But like as more people get it, and as it transmits from person to person, there's a chance that it'll evolve more quickly. Not that much of a problem, because you do end up getting stuff for free, but it can let the cat out of the bag earlier than you want. Yeah. I wish the game's writing was funnier, but that's a little bit beside the point.
All of this is making me think of The Hot Zone.
The Hot Zone.
It's a book about the Ebola virus.
Ugh.
Yeah.
I'm sure that's just delightful, by which I mean depressing and horrible.
Don't read it during mealtime.
No. I'm happy with the distance and abstraction that playing this on an iPad provides. I don't have to consider when you're looking at it in a world map. Like
it sounds closer to like Pandemic, like in the board game, you know.
Yeah. Like there's something to be said, right? Because like if it was presented in any other way, it would be a lot harder to like look at. It would be closer to like a Prison Architect kind of thing, where that is hard to play because you see the blood from the riots and stuff like that. Like the fact that everything, like the closest you can zoom in is just like on a country level, you know, and like just like watch it. It is kind of just a demonstration of like either that abstraction or the massive scale of something deadening it. To where, like, you know, some of the stuff, like, I realized, like, oh, it's horrible. But then I said, oh, it's much easier to infect people who are poor. You think, like, oh, like, that's a decision that I'm making to optimize for play without thinking about how just god-awful and sad that is IRL.
Yeah.
You know? Yeah. So, have no idea about the politics of it or whatever. It is an interesting simulation game, management game, and it's not an angle that you see all the time. Any questions about Plague Inc.?
No, it's one that I've looked at before, and then I ultimately decided that I didn't want to play it because it would depress me. Yeah. So it's another one of those titles that I'm like, I'm glad Cole's playing it, and he can tell me all about it, and then I don't have to worry about it.
Oh, cool.
It's the canary in the coal mine.
Oh, no.
The coal mine? I don't know, whatever.
Sugarbone hasn't been back for a while.
Yeah.
Yeah. You thought I was going to do it.
No.
So do you all want to button it up?
Buttons.
The credit.
Thank you, everybody, for listening to this episode of The Level. If you're listening to this and you are in the upper Midwest area, we have details for the weekend of the Midwest Gaming Classic, finally. So Yay. I need to go to that page so I can get those. So the live show about Donkey Kong 94, we are doing a live Watch Out for Fireballs. That is on Sunday from 2:30 to 3:15. And also we are doing a combined meetup with the Retronauts. That is going to be on Saturday night at 8 p.m. until ? And that is at a bar that is near the venue, like near the Milwaukee Center. It's just a little hole in the wall called the Miller Time Pub and Grill. We have been told that the nachos are ultimate. So that is in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, Friday, April 13th through the 15th. Come out and see us. We'll be tabling. We would love to see you there. At least go to duckfeed.tv/MGC so you can see the delightful Photoshop that I made with the cast of Laverne and Shirley. Yeah. Otherwise, you know the stuff you can do for this show. Please leave a rating or review on Apple Podcasts. And if you do mention Jala. She likes that.
I get special treatment. Actually, no, not really. But that's okay. We'll pretend.
So, yeah. And also Patreon and tell your friends, all that good stuff. I need to close this tab because the quality of that Photoshop is just staggering and I'm distracted.
Cole, how much would you need to raise on Patreon to do a Sugarbone podcast?
No.
I know we need an album. We need an album.
I can't do that voice for a sustained amount of time. Like it would destroy me. Yeah. So I think that's about everything. Is there anything I'm forgetting?
No.
Okay. So yeah. I've been Cole Ross. You can watch my streams at twitch.tv/Duckfeed.tv.
I'm Jala-chan in all the places that I am to be found.
Mm-hmm. I am Merkleby only in a few specific places, like Twitch.
And stick around for some titles. Okay, Jala, titles.
Guys, I only got like a few, and the sad thing is I had to write down a couple of things I said by myself, which I don't normally do that. I don't nominate my own things that I say.
I think that's fair. All of us do it from time to time.
desperate times, man. All right, so Memorytron, because that was funny.
I also have Memorytron.
Yeah, Memorytron. Bloodborne again. And then Consider the Roomba.
I also have Consider the Roomba.
Yay.
Okay. Ben?
I got nothing.
Okay.
So sorry.
Nothing.
Sorry, team.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so it's basically what? Memorytron or Consider the Roomba, or do you have more, Cole?
I had one more. It destroys me, referring to the sugar bone voice. I like Consider the Roomba.
Yeah, let's go with that one.
Okay.
It's good.
Cool. Well, I'm going to go try to sleep. I have some melatonin, so
Okay.
we'll see how that pans
good.
out.
If you keep getting insomnia, just get Divinity Original Sin. We can play multiplayer.
Oh yeah.
I guess that's the thing. You're not helping. You're going to encourage him to stay up more.
Yeah.
It's trying to make lemonade out of lemons.
True.
Yeah,
Don't think of it as a lack of sleep that feels like a moral failing. Think of it as extra time to do the things you like.
Just think of it as a crippling dopamine addiction. Yeah.
There you go.
All right. Take care, everybody.
Night, guys.
Good night.
Bye-bye.
Bye.